You guys did a show talking about if the 49ers are overrated. And I do a show on this channel called We Want Winners, which is a play on the old Mike Singletary line. And me and my co-host, Roderick Adams, we were talking about how, if you look at the 49ers roster up and down, the depth and the star power in the roster is fantastic, except there's one glaring omission, which is the quarterback situation, unless you really believe that second year Brock Purdy is going to be the real deal. And I know that there are some people who believe that. But you cannot put Brock Purdy up with Patrick Mahomes and say, we're competing at that level with Mahomes. But what do you think about the whole quarterback situation? As a 49er fan yourself, or as someone who's covered the team forever, this is kind of the quarterback is kind of the star of the entire Bay Area, with Joe and Steve and even Kaepernick and then, Jimmy G. Is that to you like the one thing that stops the 49ers from being, maybe the front runner to win the whole thing? Is just, what are we doing? What's the team doing at quarterback?
Well, it's funny. It's like, there's that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, right? And so many people cannot get beyond what somebody looks like when they're deciding if they fit the role. And so I think because Trey Lance has a lot of similar physical attributes to Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy doesn't, I think the assumption is that they don't need to flirt around with Purdy. They just need to go to Lance and develop him. And I think Lance is going to develop. I really do. I think you're going to see a much improved Trey Lance this summer, and I think he's going to develop. But I think it's going to take time because he's a very raw quarterback. But really, it's about Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy really does give you everything that Mahomes and Josh Allen give you. What does Mahomes and Josh Allen give you? Well, they process well, but they also have second-level movement ability that helps them escape the pocket. And, there's the play that's called in the huddle, and then there's the play that the play, devolves into because of, the first play being defended properly or successfully by the defense. And I just think when you look at Brock Purdy, you look at a guy and you say, well, wait a second, he's not big enough. But he's 6 feet and change. He's about my height. I'm 6'1.5". He's about 6'1.5", roughly 6'1". He's 227 pounds. He's pretty thick. Like if you're standing next to him in the locker room, he's a pretty thick guy. It's not like he's a tiny little guy. And then he's got that 1.54 10-yard split, which is an elite 10-yard split. I mean, to put that in perspective, Tyreek Hill, who's probably one of the most electric movers in the entire sport, I think was like 1.55 or 1.52. He was either slightly better or slightly worse than Purdy. So Purdy's got really good escapability. So I really think in a lot of ways, Brock, even though he doesn't necessarily look the part, I think he can compete with the Mahomeses and the Allens and the Hurtses, because I think when you look really closer at his traits, he's got everything you need. He's got big hands. He can control the football. He's got escapability. He's got that fast 10-yard split time, so he can avoid the rush and extend plays. We saw him extend plays repeatedly last year.
Yeah.
And then he also has the ability to process what he sees at the line of scrimmage, and he has an ability to throw with accuracy and on time and be on time with it. And Alex Smith did an interview this week with Matt Mayoko from Tahoe. And he said, you can talk about 40 time and height and all these different things, but quarterbacking really comes down to 3 elements: your accuracy, your timing, and your processing. And he says that Brock has it, and that not only does he have it, that it's sustainable. And I agree. I've been saying it for the last year. And I really think, I know a lot of people look at Brock Purdy and go, Mr. Irrelevant. That was somebody else's mistake.
Yeah.
The reality is that Iowa State was nothing before he got there. They were a national power while he was there. The first year that he wasn't there, they went 1-8 inside the Big 12. Brock Purdy was the difference at Iowa State. And, the 49ers, how quickly people forget that non-Jimmy Garoppolo quarterbacks under Kyle Shanahan were 9-29 until Brock Purdy took over in the Dolphin game. So I'm all in on Brock Purdy. I realize he's not the biggest guy. Would I rather him be 6'4"? Sure. Would I rather him have a little bit stronger arm strength? I guess. But what he's got is the ability to process, to be accurate, and he throws the passes on time. In the short game, in the intermediate game, where your footwork is at a premium, his footwork is on point. He's insanely competitive. Like I've done interviews with Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. This kid's got what those guys had, which is this. It's a humility, but it's a quiet, burning, competitive fire that is just readily apparent after 2 or 3 questions in any interview. And that's what Purdy has. So I personally, we'll see about the elbow injury and how much is he diminished? Has he lost any velocity? If he hasn't, and he's the same player physically that he was a year ago, I asked him a month ago after the minicamp, I said, Brock, how would you compare where you're at right now in this offense compared to where you were at last year at this time? And he's like, oh, Kruger, night and day. He's like, last year, I would walk to the line of scrimmage and just trying to remember the play, just trying to remember all the verbiage, how to spit it out correctly, trying to remember the formations. Now it's like I've got him committed to memory, and it's all about nuances within the play fake, within the, whatever it is. And I just think you're going to see a dramatically improved player. And since he didn't lose a game last year that he started and finished, and the team averaged 33 points a game with Brock Purdy. Just to put that in perspective for people who don't follow the points per game deal, the team that led the NFL last year in points per game were the Kansas City Chiefs. They averaged 29 points a game. Brock Purdy, while with the Niners as a rookie, averaged 4 more points per game than the number 1 offense in football last year. So there are people that have suggested that he's hit his ceiling. That's asinine. And I just can't wait to see it this summer. Now, if he loses 5 miles an hour off the fastball or loses some ability as a thrower, that could negatively impact his career clearly. It's a major part of playing quarterback is the ability to throw and have something on it. But as Alex Smith says, it's about processing, accuracy, and timing. And in Alex's mind, it's sustainable what Brock's done. And I agree with Alex.